I've met many people over the years, and in my opinion, I have found that people are the same everywhere. They have the same fears, shed similar tears, die in so many years. The oppressed seem to have suffered the most in every continent, coast to coast. Now our lives are in the hands of the pusher man. We break it all down in hopes that you might understand how to protect yourself. Don't make no profit for the man.
Wassalam Salaga, my brothers and sisters. This is the Black News Network, BNN247.org. You can check us out on the webpage. You can also check us out on Facebook at BNN247, YouTube at BNN247, Instagram, Twitter, and on LinkedIn. Our network is about us and it's by us. Who can tell our story better than us? Not CNN, not NBC, not CBS. We got you. We got you. BNN does not own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. Today, our topic is going to be Black value. In some kind of way, I'm thinking this Black value segment is going to take 2 or 3 segments to get it right, because there's so much involved in Black value. In other words, we got to come up with the system that we are going to implement to get us from A to Z. We got to get us there, y'all. There's so many things going on in our culture today, we're going to have to fix it. So without further ado, I want to introduce my co-host to the show today. I'm Brother Wall Smith Bay. Our co-hosts are Mr. Claude Foster and Mr. Chuck Slaughter. We all three do agree that there needs to be a change in America today. So I want to get with these fellas and let them tell us what they know and let us all get on the same sheet of music. So, Brother Foster, Brother Slaughter, I don't want to pick the one to go first. You tell me who wants to go. Whoever does, go with it.
Well, since I was the one that brought the subject up, I brought it up for a specific reason. Excuse me. Several years ago, throughout my...
You got a television on, Chuck?
Yes. I mean, I'm on the show. I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing the football game and everything else too. Is that my
Well, that may be me.
I'm on mute over here. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chuck.
Okay. As I said, I started asking that question maybe a year or two ago about what is our Black values? What do we value the most? And I kept thinking about it, and then I started asking a few other people, what are our Black values? And they kind of like, huh? And they had to think about it. And if we had to think about it, to me, they're saying maybe we don't recognize what our values are. You know, so I started thinking about it, and I was saying, well, what do we value? Something that we value that we pass on to the next generation, that they pass on to. It's a cultural ritual. We have any rituals that we practice? Like, do we have do we take the ritual of, say, a rite of passage into manhood for our young men? You see. And that might be something of a value. Building economical uh, wealth within the family. Somebody needs to take responsibility and say, look, this is what we need to do as a family and build that wealth. So wealth building is that one of our values. So I'm just searching to try to find out what what are our values and the pros and cons maybe, and how do we implement them so they will benefit future generations going forward. In this world.
That's interesting, Chuck. Because I always look at our values and traditions. Are they the same? Do we have traditions that we carry forward from one generation to the next, or do we have values that we carry forward from one generation to the next? Uh, the values that you and I have in our generation are a little bit different than the values that young people have today. Is that because we didn't carry those values forward, or we allow society to dictate what our values are? And through television, mass media, I mean, are our values that weak that they can be interrupted by those forces? Uh, you raise a good question though about values. I think most people get values and traditions confused. We just came out of a holiday season where a lot of people celebrate Christmas because it's tradition, and they've been celebrating it ever since they came into this world. Be it, first through their family and then through their family, and so each generation has carried that tradition forward. A few years back, we started celebrating Kwanzaa, and we a lot of people follow that tradition. But is that a value? Are values more personal traits? Like, do we value family? Do we value, education? Do we value, you know, uh, money? I mean, it's a good discussion because I'm not clear about what our values are you know, from from the time I was born up until now. I mean, what are the values that we carry forward from one decade to the next, from one generation to the next? Uh,
All right, that's a very good intro from Mr. Claude Foster and also Mr. Chuck Slaughter. First of all, I want to say thank you, brothers, for being here today. And I think we're fixing to touch on something that's real personal towards each of us.
Warren.
We kind of live our lives believing in certain things and doing certain things, trying to pass that legacy on. So, in order for us, go ahead, Mr. Chuck.
Yes, I just before I'm 72 years old. My memory is not that good, but I want to hit on something that Brother Foster hit on, and that was Kwanzaa. Now, Kwanzaa is a tradition, but it also may have our values in there too.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and that's something that we're not all practicing just yet, and we need to continue to push it. I need to push it in my family, and I think we'll find the values in that tradition of celebrating Kwanzaa. Let's look at that.
Okay, that's a great observation, Mr. Chuck. Uh, what I was going to say is that in order for us to properly understand how or what we're about to dive in on, we have to understand what we're looking at: values and tradition. So, in order to do that, I would like to kind of dive into what are values. So, in my understanding of values, it's something that we hold regard like we deserve. It's very important. It's very worthful. It's very useful to how we believe in moving forward in our future. So, values can be something like integrity. It can be honesty. it can be modest, it can be humble. All those are different values. So get it using those four little words as a basis to start to formulate what we want to talk about in the value perspective. And then when we talk about tradition is more apt to being Kwanzaa. I'm going to use these holidays, but I this is just what I know Black people like. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, all this. These are traditions. Every year, all of my life, I grew up every single year celebrating Thanksgiving, and even into my 50s, celebrating Thanksgiving. But I think at 50 or after 50, I started to hear this about Kwanzaa. And right now, we're in the Kwanzaa spirit. I think we're on day 4, 3 or 4, or something like that. I'm not sure because I don't know that much about our actual culture when it comes to Kwanzaa, but that's what it is. I mean, so tradition falls on one end of the spectrum and values fall on another end of the spectrum. Values are what puts us into a lifestyle that will honor traditions. That's my perception of values and tradition. Because without the values, then the tradition can happen this year and we don't do it next year. Don't give a shit which way it goes. But if we have a tradition, it's going to be every single year during the exact same time. So some of the basic things that me and my family do, even that I know, July 4th is not our holiday. Juneteenth is our holiday. But on July 4th, we all meet in Mississippi in my hometown, all my family. But we know June 19th is now the Black July 4th. But since we've celebrated July 4th for the last 30 years as a family, then it doesn't feel too right to change it. So I'm saying all this to say that we have been so programmed with these particular traditions that are not our traditions that we don't have enough power or enough value in our own system, in our system as Black people, to revert back to what we used to do. So with that, don't raise your finger, just jump. They say.
Well, Brother Smith, I think part of the problem with this discussion about Black values is you cannot overlook the fact of who we are, what we are, and where we are. We are.
Chuck, can you put your mic off while he's talking?
Yeah.
And be present.
So what do you want me to do?
Please.
Chuck, is that your mic?
Yeah, he got it. Go ahead.
It goes back to this whole confusion about who we are in this country and our place in this country. And the traditions that we've, ex-military folks are probably more American traditions, celebrate probably more of the American traditions than any other group of African Americans. And so are those traditions based on our Americanism? What traditions do we have that are based on our Africanism? On our, it's the Black church. The Black church is part of that tradition. I think all of us grew up being taken to church. That's a tradition. That was a Black family value, being in church on Sunday. And through the church, we learn other values of honesty and decency and dressing and all the values that made us good Americans. Not so much good Africans, but good Americans, because the Black church is fathomed from the white church in terms of its structure. So we learn how to be good Americans, not good Africans. So, I think that's why it's a tough subject to talk about. And I think that's why Kwanzaa was created, to kind of connect us with our African, even though it was founded by an American to celebrate, about Pan-Americanism. It's not, we don't really have a culture. And I know Chuck don't want to hear this, because if we did, I don't think we'd be constantly changing.
Bingo.
I mean,
you hit the nail on the head.
If you have something that stabilizes you, you're not going to be unstable. And I think as African Americans, we have been unstable because we have never been connected to our culture. We've been connected to somebody else's culture, and we get into, and that creates a kind of divisiveness.
That's powerful. Yeah, well, I feel that one, Claude. Yeah. I feel that.
Because everybody don't agree. You talk to a Black person, why you celebrate Christmas? It's tradition. Why you celebrate the 4th of July instead of Juneteenth? It's a tradition. I'm American. So I think we still don't know our place in this place called America.
We don't know our place.
We don't really know who we are. We don't really know what we are. We know we came from Africa, and that's about it. We know that's where our journey started.
Come on in, Chuck. Help us out.
Help me out, Chuck. I'm just saying that this is Claude Foster expressing the confusion that Claude Foster constantly has. That's why I'm always searching. And I've gone through my life, and I've had many changes in my life, many beliefs in my life.
Well,
nothing's really. I mean, when you talk about cultural identity, talk to me. I mean,
cultural identity. I don't know. Bottom line, my roots. I consider my roots out of Africa. Now, whatever the values and culture things and traits that they use in Africa, I'm not aware of because I was born in the United States of America as a descendant of the slaves. That's who I think I am. And so we had to create our own culture here in America, and we're trying to fit in. Now, I want to go back to something that Smitty said a few minutes ago about the Juneteenth and the 4th of July. Okay. Juneteenth is the day that we celebrate our freedom, but we don't say anything about our independence. And that's where we got to connect. We got to connect our freedom to our independence. And my slogan is freedom without independence is not freedom. Because that's when we will find ourselves when we get our own independence. Now,
if you was in jail for 50 years and you got released from jail, are you free? I mean, you have nothing. Are you independent? Do you celebrate that Independence Day that you got released from prison? I mean, no job, no saving, no money, nowhere to go, no home. Is that independence?
Well, to that person, to a certain extent, yes, it is. I mean, he's free, he's independent, he can do what he can or what he want to do, as long as you don't give away his freedom again.
So he's independent from bondage, which is the same scenario as us being independent from bondage. When we were released when we were liberated from slavery.
Juneteenth is independence from bondage.
Mm-hmm. If you're in the prison, that's bondage. If you're released from prison, you're released from it. Bondage to me means that every aspect of your life is controlled.
Well,
when you come out of bondage ain't necessarily getting beat, ain't necessarily getting hog-tied or killed. Bondage is not being able to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. Bondage is not being able to progress. You can't do nothing in prison but what they tell you to do. You under a doctrine, you under a system, and you under an authority that does not let you be a
So,
free
but
person.
Chuck raised a good question. Is Juneteenth an Independence Day?
For Texas, only for Texas.
But
But
It's
doesn't
not
meet
an
the
Independence
definition
Day.
of independence. Is it an
well,
independent?
what makes July 4th an Independence Day? July 4th ain't an Independence Day. It's just
But
another day.
that's for America. It's not for a certain group of people.
That's
That's
the
for
day that
all of
No,
America.
it
America.
ain't for America, Chuck. It's for white folks. Be for real with yourself. Don't bullshit the bullshit. Independence Day. July 4th is for white folks.
Independence Day.
It
And
ain't
we
for
all
us.
contributed to America's independence. We got to
Well,
understand
you know
White
that.
folks
I
got
know
their
that. Claude know
white
that.
folks got their independence too. They always
Yeah,
had it. They
well,
don't celebrate it, but they
no,
live
it's
it every
different.
day.
It's not the same. We're not in that category. You got to get us separated because it's not us. We're not the
Americans were never in bondage. So
same. No.
their
We
definition
were
of
in
Independence
America
Day
in bondage.
is not the
Everything
same
else in
as
America was
a
in
free
bondage.
slave. I mean, with
The
slaves.
only people in America that wasn't in bondage are white folks.
So when they was independent from Europe, that's a political independence. We were held in bondage.
Right.
Yes.
So
Prison.
so when we were free, that's not like Independence Day.
We were not free. We were liberated.
But well, yeah.
Freedom. I mean, all these little words got underlying meanings. Just like if you tell a police officer, I just killed this guy for trying to break in my house. Or if you tell a police officer, I stopped a guy from breaking in my house, one equates to premeditated murder, and the other one relates to protecting your house. If you use kill, that's premeditated according to the law. But so that's what I'm saying. The words, every word has different underlining meanings that we're using here. We're
So
using liberation.
What if you use deadly force?
Say what?
What if you use deadly force?
Well,
You use deadly
act-
force to protect my property.
the act is deadly force. But when you say deadly force, that's unacceptable to the police. And I'm telling you about.
But it's okay for the police to use it against you.
No.
Yeah, that's what the police said. They use deadly force against you.
The police have to use the same three words. They stop, they control, or they neutralize. If they don't say one of those three words, they don't have to even explain that, Chuck. They're not in the same category as us. They're licensed. They are licensed to use deadly force.
That's what I'm saying. They are taught to use deadly force.
That's what they're licensed.
Did Juneteenth free the slave? Did Juneteenth free the slaves in Mississippi? Did it free the slaves in Alabama? Did it free the slaves in Georgia? Only Texas. Only the 200 and some thousand or so slaves in Texas. It didn't free nobody else.
Didn't free nobody else. But why did Biden go and make it a national holiday then?
Everybody else is already free. We just didn't know.
But you raise a political question.
We were liberated.
He made it a federal holiday because it's a meaningless day in terms of black folks, in terms of the rest of the country. And it just shows you how shallow and how minimal we're treated by the political party that we are partial to. It's a meaningless holiday.
You know, I hear you, and I'm gonna tell you what I want to tell you this before I keep talking. I think it's time for America to fess up, and the only way they're gonna fess up is for them to see the reality of the condition of America. We are living a fake life. It's almost like poor people. Poor people go out and spend their money on expensive things to make people think we're rich. Rich people don't spend their money on bullshit. We walk around with these big ass diamond rings on, big ass necklaces. I mean, we're trying to look the part, but our pockets don't reflect the part. But if we don't live who we actually are, we keep them believing that we're doing okay, and we're not.
But brother Bay, who are we? In order to have values, you got to first define who you are. Who are we?
Why? My wife asked me something the other day. She said, "I know you went through your Moor shit. Now you a Moor. Your last name is Bay. But why is that whole process not more known to our people? Why is it not? Why is it almost like a secret society or something? Nobody knows about it."
But what black people? What I mean, see, my argument is black people. We're black in skin only. Our mind, which controls everything else, is really screwed up.
We're trying to get away from blackness. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Our goal is to not be black.
we got black skin.
No. I'm for.
Your goal is not to be black, Chuck.
If I could get more melanin and get as black as a tie, I love it. Because I understand what the melanin is all about.
But you're trying not to be black, Chuck. You want to make $1 million so you don't have to be black anymore. That's what you're doing.
Why do you want to paint me with that kind of a brush?
But Chuck, I think what we're saying though, Chuck, is America doesn't have kings and queens and monarchs and all this kind of stuff.
True.
In America, you're defined by what you got.
Right.
How, what you got, what you wear, what you drive, that defines you. That elevates you.
Yeah.
And so black people are part of that American structure.
Okay.
I mean, you keep trying to define yourself by your skin color.
No.
Yes, you do.
Well, yeah, I do.
White people are black people too.
That more than my skin color. There's something unique about a real black person, a true black person.
What's a true black person?
Maybe I'm not a true black person because I don't have.
I'm asking you, what is it?
I think the people, okay, here we go. We're finna go into some conversation here now. I know
we don't value.
I value the people that we look at that came out of Africa over here on the ship, so to speak. They were very dark complected, heavily melanated people. They got them over here and incorporate them into this here North American slave project, and started mixing babies up. So we lost a lot of our melanin. I'm glad I still got quite a bit left, more than some, but I'm still happy about it.
Why you doing stabs like that, Chuck?
Huh?
I hear you.
Well, I mean, it's a reality. I'm a realist, Blackness is in the soul, in your heart, in your spirit. That's what makes us black. That melanin makes us black. Melanin is in everything.
If we don't go back and understand what caused us to be in this position that we're in right now, then we never gonna be able to move forward. And that's been my whole thing, because if we don't understand this, we know it's there, but we don't understand it. If once we
are we gonna try to correct it? Are we trying to correct?
Are
we trying to correct?
You can't correct the past. The past is the past is the past. It ain't gonna change.
Then we can't keep our people living in the past all the time.
But if they don't know, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. All I'm saying is,
I know where I want to go.
People need to know where they came from. That's why we losing our culture and our race and our traditions, because nobody wants to know what the slave people did or before the slave people. Nobody wants to know. We got to know this. If this is what they want you to believe, Chuck, that you don't need to know what happened yesterday. That is the reason they got critical race theory. That is the reason they've taken black books and affirmative actions off the market right now, because they don't want you to know what happened.
They don't want their
Back then.
children to know. They don't want little white kids to know that
And
stuff.
they don't want black ones either to know. They don't even want to talk
That's
about.
up to the
If you
parents.
say
That's up to
something
the
about
culture.
slavery,
That's
if
up
you
to the
say
culture
something,
to educate our young black kids about our history.
What
if you
culture?
say something,
Whose culture?
Well,
we don't know. We
Public,
don't know.
public
We
education.
yes,
don't know.
when we
Talk
ask that
about it.
question, it kind of tells me we are really lost. We have to ask who we are.
No, we ain't.
No, I
we
said
ain't
you say it's up
we
to the
just don't
culture.
want to admit
I
it.
said what culture?
I'm
You,
black culture.
We got a culture.
The black culture.
We got a culture that's well defined, but we are ignoring it by the millions. That's
but
all we
there's-
have to do is recognize what happened.
what
Black,
culture is that?
okay,
Culture
is black
is that?
culture. Are we valued enough to be taught black culture as you define it in our public education system, in our colleges and universities?
We
Why
we
is
are
there such ignorance
we
about
cannot
Africa?
be taught
About the
black
continent
history
of
in
Africa?
white institutions. That's what it boils down to. We are not going to learn black history in white
Because
institutions.
black
That's
black
elementary,
skin is
junior
not
high,
valued.
high school, and
Because
some.
we are not valued in this country.
This would really be a good conversation. You said it right in the beginning there, brother Ray. This is going to take some more in-depth conversation because you know what now? We need to bring on some of these professors that taught African American studies in these white universities. And I think Brother Fred Williams would be a good one to come on.
Hey, I wouldn't mind him coming on anytime, any day, anywhere. But we need to have this discussion. Like I said, it might be 2 or 3 weeks doing this one.
We keep our people confused as to who they are. They're so damn. Our young people are so confused.
No, we don't do that stuff. We don't keep our people
about what happened
They
3, 4,
keep our
5
people
years ago.
We don't keep our people confused. We're trying to educate our people, but they're making sure we can't do that.
The young people don't want to hear what we got to say, brother. They ain't listening to us. They don't want to hear what we got to say.
Our people not listening.
People.
You saying it's our people not listening, right?
Young black kids are not listening to their parents. They are doing their own thing. They are forward-thinking people. They are living for the future. They ain't thinking about what happened in the past. They don't think of that. You can't even ask them what they know about.
They just need to know it.
Yeah, and
you don't understand where you're going. You don't know how to get there. Before you go on a road trip, Chuck, what do? You look at the map.
One thing we didn't say about America.
Put your whole thing on the GPS. You look at a map.
One thing we didn't mention when we were talking about America. America is also the land of opportunity.
Bullshit.
Come on, Chuck.
It ain't no opportunity for you. It ain't one for me. It ain't one for God. It's an opportunity for them. This America was designed for white folks only. You're just a thorn in everybody's side.
I had to stick to my guns with this one because
that's all you doing, Chuck. You just pissing white folks off.
Huh?
Opportunity for what, Chuck?
Opportunity to build an industry of our own to take care of ourselves. Now, this is nothing new. This is nothing new.
That's beautifully politically stated. That's exactly what that is. Beautiful political.
What an insult! What an insult to brother Malcolm! What an insult to brother Malcolm X! Wait! What an insult to our brother, our hero, Malcolm X! That's an insult to me for Malcolm X.
It doesn't matter.
But that's exactly what he told the people way back then. Quit running up asking for a job.
It was a political statement then, and it's a political statement now. But why wouldn't he say things that make people get excited? But why is what he said didn't make a difference?
What to do? Because the immigrants does it. The immigrants do it. They come here. They put their money together. They create an industry.
Like you said a few seconds ago, America is the promised land. Like Martin Luther King said, America have a dream. What he said, I have a dream. But none of that shit is real, Chuck. That's bullshit. That's propaganda. That's to build my credibility. That's the path the legacy on to my people.
You guys went out there. Look. You guys went out there under affirmative action. You guys went out there, got your education. You climbed that ladder of success, and I consider both of you very successful. I consider myself successful, even though I don't have a degree.
But
I
let me
did
explain.
become a professional nurse. I
It
worked
doesn't
all
mean
my
we
life.
didn't suffer.
I
It
made
doesn't mean we didn't run into racism. It doesn't
no, it
mean we
doesn't
didn't
mean
have to
but
fight
we
for black
fought it,
people
but
to
we
move
didn't let it
into certain
stop
areas.
us.
When you
We did not
when you
let
black,
it stop us.
listen, Chuck, when you black and you move into a particular office where ain't no more black people are, your ass is a target. I'm telling you.
And
You gotta fight to stay there.
and you know who you got to fight the most? People that look like you.
Right.
Because they're the ones laughing at the
As a matter of
racist.
fact, last couple of weeks, I said already, I fear being killed by somebody who look like me because of my political views than I do by a white boy. Because I'm looking out for the white
They
boy.
don't have to do anything.
Don't let the rhetoric convince you. I mean, the Constitution says all men are created equal. At the same time, we were held in bondage. It's a beautiful phrase, but it ain't worth the paper.
What is wrong with us pulling? What is wrong with us
right.
pulling our monies together to create an industry
Nothing.
so we can
You're
put
right.
our people to work and make them
You're
have let them have their independence?
You're
What's
right,
wrong with
Chuck.
looking forward and having
You're right.
a bubble up economy rather than a trickle down economy?
You're right, Truck.
What's a
Chuck,
bubble up?
the only reason. Go ahead, Claude.
What's a bubble up?
A bubble up economy is one with where the foundation is built at the bottom and it grows up. As
The reason we can't build a foundation on the bottom is because it's on sand right now. And in order for it to get on solid ground, you got to know where you came from. We don't, only thing we know is we are descendants of slaves from Africa. That's it. No, nothing beyond that. Our people know. But they don't know nothing beyond that because the white man don't allow you to know nothing beyond that.
I believe
we don't take the initiative to learn more than that.
And I can do anything in this country that I want to do.
Yeah, you can. I can.
As long as I do it,
Claude can.
As long as I do it within the realms of their law.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck,
a few of us feel
the
that
law
way.
is supposed to govern us all, but we know the law is unfair.
The law don't govern us all. You ought to know better than that.
I just
the
said
law
the law is unfair.
You can do what you want to in this country to a point. Because if you really could do what you wanted to do in this country, you could do it. What I'm saying, you could do what you want to do to a point. Because, I mean, because
if I was a black billionaire, I love my people so much, and I really love them. If I was a black billionaire, I'd go and find some tracts of land and buy a small town.
How many black millionaires do we have? A whole shitload of them, don't we?
Who?
We got a shitload of black billionaires and billionaires, but none of them are completely pulling that money together so they can make a difference in our society. Think about it. If the NBA had a melanated organization that pooled their money, they could have $1 trillion in that NBA situation. NFL can do the same thing.
I was watching sports the other day, and talk about tradition. I'm watching the sports players. I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys. They're almost all black. What is the difference in what we're watching today, sports, and back in the day when the Warriors, the people inside the Coliseum? What was that, Bay?
Gladiators.
What's the difference?
What's the difference now? They're running on the field, not on the horse.
When you look at the people in the stand, they're doing the same thing.
In the white America. Let Chuck answer your question. He believing in white America.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, my wife say one got paid and the other didn't. He got killed.
No, the other one got paid. They got fed. They got clothed. They got housed.
Yeah, but they get.
And they can't say anything. Think about it. Fort Sam told all the soldiers that the east side is off limits. They can't go down New Brunswick Street. They can't go down Houston Street. Why? Why not, Chuck? But they can go on Broadway. They can get killed on Broadway just like they can on the east side.
Yeah.
They can go to the south side. They can go anywhere else but the east side. Why would a whole military installation
keep my money out of that black neighborhood? That's when the east side was predominantly black. And that's why, the NBA, you don't see none of the NBA players building any acreage of land
It's
or
been a lot.
industry, putting businesses over here in the east side where their people are.
You
These
know,
people
I had
they're
a guy
bought and
working for
paid
me,
for
Chuck.
it. And those
Chuck.
millionaires and billionaires are bought and paid for it, and they ain't gonna give
I
up
had
their
I had a
livelihood.
guy working for me, and I said, "Hey man, let's go to lunch." I took him over to Hooters, and he said, "What's Hooters?" It's exposure. You remember we did the Boy Scouts. What was our objective? To get them out of the hood, and I'm just using that as a metaphor, but to get them out of the hood so they can go see Enchanted Rock, so they can go see the USS Lexington, so they can go to the Houston Space Center, so they can see that there are other things that can be done. So if you don't expose people to something, you keep them contained, they never gonna understand that
Baby,
this world and this country is so much bigger.
why is everything built somewhere else?
What
Why is it always built somewhere else?
do you mean somewhere else? From what? Somewhere else from what?
From
They don't. In
From
other
our
words, they don't
community?
build in the black community.
Where they
They
put the
build away
AT&T?
from
Where they put the AT&T Center?
throwing money
Or the
away from
Frost
the
Center?
black community.
Where they put the Frost Center? The AT&T Center. Where did they put that? It's the Frost Center now.
Yeah, but look how they did it though. When you
It
come,
ain't,
when
it
you
ain't did nothing for us.
patronize that, it didn't help the economy. And they
It
take them
didn't
right
help
on
us
back
either.
out of Eric and right on back over to 35, and right on back out to the.
Well, at least it improved the streets so they can get people out of there.
get people in and out.
They improved the streets and put new lights.
It's like here in Houston. They built overpasses in black neighborhoods, not because for the convenience of the black residents. It's so that when the freeways back up, white folks don't have to sit at lights in black neighborhoods.
Yeah, and they won't give them an opportunity. They don't want to give them an opportunity to stop and patronize any of the little small business. We don't have the businesses that they would patronize either. But now that they're fixing it up,
The Chuck.
I got a couple things I gotta talk about right quick. Let me just get this out. And all right, what I'm gonna start with what Chuck ended up at black businesses. We promote black business. However, how many out of 20 black businesses we know about on the east side, how many of them ever make it out of the east side? Not one. I mean, we go in there and we give our money. We saying we supporting black business, but we ain't doing shit but paying somebody damn car note or rent because they ain't growing. They ain't going no damn where. You look at everything that's been on the east side and a black business situation is still there on the east side in a black business situation. That's one thing. The other thing is what we have right now is nothing but granted privileges. If they ever call martial law in America, all black people want to go into an internment camp because they have nothing but granted privileges. You have no rights right now as a black person, but because I did what I did, and now that I'm no longer a black person, I am a Moor. That means that I'm a sovereign citizen, basically. I can't violate the law. I got to follow the law just like you do. But the bottom line is if America or the state or any one of these governmental agencies decide to put us on lockdown, it does not apply to me because of my sovereignty. And each state is sovereign in its own right because it's a corporation. And nobody really wants to face the truth about what America is. And you keep ignoring the truth, then you keep believing the lie. All you got to do is do the research. You'll find what I'm saying because I've said this on just about every one of our shows. In 1774, they took our nationality away. We had a culture up until then. When they took it, then we became color people. No nationality, no affiliation with any country. That is our problem. And if we don't understand who our affiliation with our ancestors are, we're going to drown from our own ignorance. And that's exactly what's happening with our people right now. We're drowning from our ignorance.
You raise a good point because we didn't define who we are until Jesse Jackson came up with African American. We didn't call ourselves colored. White folks called us colored. We didn't call ourselves Negro. White folks called us Negro.
Who decided what the Chinese are?
Because all that's a classification system. So we didn't
ask Clark, who decided what the Chinese are? God. Who decided what the Koreans are? God. Who decided what the Italians are? God did. Who decided what the Scottish people are? God did. American man decided what we are. And that's impossible. A man cannot tell us what we are.
In fact, Jesse Jackson came up with African American.
Yeah, he did, but a man cannot dictate to us who we are. Only God can do that.
And God dictated that you were an African too, didn't he?
Well, I ain't seen a birth certificate in America with African on it.
God did that. God determined who was African. That's
for now African American, but of our generation.
When they stole your ancestors from Africa and brought you to America, all Jesse Jackson was doing trying to keep you connected to your motherland.
No, he was further disconnecting you because man cannot classify man. God does. And if you are taking the title of African American, you cannot relate that to a damn thing.
What is an African American?
Well, see, you are confusing a lot of people. History is
because
history.
I'm telling the truth.
It's the truth. And now you're trying to tell a bunch of people that you're not who they say you are.
You're not. You're not 100% correct, Chuck.
What is an African American?
What is an African American?
Yeah.
To what I believe it is people who roots, whose lineage is connected to Africa.
And what's a colored American?
What's the what?
Colored.
Oh, it could be white. It could be light complected like yourself.
What's a black?
A black is if you got to ask for us black, you're colorblind. That's all I can say.
I guess
people can't see. Are white folks white? Why do you ask them what's white?
No, we're trying to identify ourselves. We ain't trying to compare them.
They're called white folks, and they
are. I don't give a damn if they call dogs. I don't give a shit about that. I give a shit about what I'm called.
Black folks because of our
we've been through
and the melanin that only black people have.
One thing, the first Asian that came to this country on his birth certificate, you got Asian. If you look at black folks generationally, we've gone from colored, Negro, black, African American. I think there's even another category now beyond African American. And so, when we talk about traditions, get back to traditions. What are the traditions of all them people? I mean,
they're all the same people, though, right?
Yeah, I mean they're all the same. But what are the traditions? I mean, is a colored tradition different than a Negro tradition? Is a Negro tradition different than a black tradition? Is a black tradition different than a African American tradition?
Why would you put African American? Because American holds the dominance on that phrase. Why wouldn't it be an American African? Because that last word holds the dominance on the phrase. You're automatically submerging African when you attach it to the word American.
You want to put America African?
They know they're doing this when they assign those names to us. What'd you say, Chuck?
So you wanted to say it's going to be America Africa?
I'm just saying the reason it's African American is because the last word is usually the dominant word.
It's kind of like your last name.
Yeah, it's the dominant.
Like Chuck Slaughter.
you put
Slaughter
yeah
is
you
the dominant name.
you putting African in the front of you're making it the sub.
You're making it less value.
You're giving it less value by putting it in front of America. And they already know this because they think we're so superficial that we don't understand why they did it like that. But everything they have ever done for black people, there was a value for them in it. Not for us, Chuck. They will not do a damn thing for us unless it's money in it for them.
Think
And
about
once
it,
you believe that,
They
you
do
understand.
that with other cultures as well. Chinese American,
Think
Dutch
about it, Chuck.
Americans,
But think
German
about
Americans. You know, the same thing.
But Chuck, how many
That's their
how many,
business. We're worried
how
about
many
ours.
Chinese got a last name of Smith? How many Chinese got a last name of Jones? The last name is the dominant name. White folks took that dominant African name and injected their name into it.
And belittle
Okay.
it.
Chuck Slaughter. Slaughter ain't African.
No.
Oscar
How
ain't
come,
African.
how come your name ain't Slaughter Chuck?
Yeah.
Huh?
You got the dominant.
It's an
White
identity.
folks
Yeah,
gave us.
I understand that kind of an identity thing. You know, that's the problem we have with an identity. We're not able to be identified by our native uh,
There you go.
name.
We don't know our native name because we don't want to hear it when you're told it.
Some of us has just decided to accept what the hand that was dealt with us. It's not a whole lot we can do about it, but try to work our way through it, and eventually those that's on the bottom will wind up
Bigger
on
than that,
top.
Chuck. It's bigger than that. All we got to do, Chuck, is acknowledge where we came from. And
Your name connects
know
you.
where we came from.
Your name connects you where you based on where every English person in America, Smith, Jones, whatever, they got a connection in Europe.
That is what that identifies you as a descendant of slave right there.
What?
Your last name is identifying you as a descendant.
You got people from Trinidad, from Haiti that are named Smith and
They had
Jones,
slaves over there too.
but they're not American. They're not part of this part of the continent. And then I want to take you one more step. Give me a second, Claude. This piece of land, look behind my head right there. I don't know if you can see it. You see the United States. That is where the United States came from the northwest part of Africa. When that land moved across the sea and left the Atlantic Ocean in between Africa and the United States, Mexico, and on down, the Africans didn't jump off the United States and Mexico and Venezuela back over to the continents or the countries in Africa and let the land go by itself. The Africans went with the land. Right. So what is America trying to hide? Like I say, every single thing they do for us, they do it because of a financial gain for them. Otherwise, there's no reason to do a damn thing for you. They released you from slavery, they liberated you from slavery, our ancestors, because Lincoln swore up and down that he would give a slave owner $100, up to $100 for every single slave they liberated. But then they liberated all the slaves, and then he came out with the next Emancipation Proclamation, the Compensation Emancipation Proclamation, and said that the United States don't owe nobody shit and we ain't paying nobody nothing. So don't come asking for no damn money. So in other words, they promised the Southern slave owners that you release your slaves, then you liberate your slaves. We're going to give you up to $100 for each one of them. And then when push come to shove, it's time to pay up. America said, hell to the no, I ain't getting y'all shit. So now you got all these, and then when President Lincoln was assassinated, they reinstated the landowners back through the 11 southern states that attacked the northern. When the Emancipation, I'm just throwing a lot of information, but the Emancipation Proclamation came out, it did not cover anything above the Mason-Dixie line. There were slaves above the Mason-Dixie line as well, but the Emancipation Proclamation only pertained to slaves that were part of the 11 states that was part of the Confederate Army. That's the problem.
There were slaves in Delaware. There was slaves
Yeah,
in
there was slaves up there, but
Maryland.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Slaves in
didn't
D.C.
reflect them. It wasn't attached to them.
Right.
And so we got released from slave. Our ancestors got released from slave. That's why they opened up the Peach Bowl. You know, you heard the Peach Bowl. That's why they put people back in prison and made them go work back on the farm. And the federal government sit back twiddling their thumbs like they didn't know what the fuck was going on. But
Okay,
they knew.
Yeah,
They
you know,
knew why
you know
the
that.
southern people did that because they fucked them. I'm just saying it like it is.
Okay, so you know that.
Yeah,
You know that.
I know
You
that.
know,
It
you know
was-
your
it's-
history. You know
I
where
can
you come
prove
from.
I can prove it, Chuck.
Okay, but you know where you come from.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any idea of how we gonna go forward? Now, since you know where we come from,
Of course.
well, how we gonna go forward? What is it? What is the
Go forward,
solution
you
going
know.
forward now?
I'm gonna tell you, the only way you're gonna go forward is accepting and understanding where you came from. And once you get to that point, now you group, you unify, and then you move to your 30,000 people and open your own party in this particular country. You're doing exactly what the Vatican does right now. We're not there yet to do exactly what they do, but our formation, the Moors, are structured exactly like the Vatican, but they are the most powerful because they support each other. Look at this one last fact, and then you tell me what you think. Why is it that all those black townships that were burned, all it took for a black man to look at a white woman and 1,000 white men would join together and hang every damn nigga in town? Why is it that happened over and over and over again? But then you don't see, for Tulsa to be so damn big and all the black folks did was run, they probably killed a few white folks too, but for the most part, they were running. Why hadn't they formed a militia like everybody else? The white folks, it was dropping bombs on Tulsa. They were flying over that little establishment in Greenwood and dropping bombs. But why can't today, if a brother get killed in the streets, all we gonna do is lock arms and march like some damn fools for a week, and then we're done. I'm so sick of marching and singing that bullshit song, "We Shall Overcome." Man, that makes me want to piss on myself. That shit don't make no damn sense. We ain't doing shit when they killing us all in the street. All we want to do is sing and march. Why can't we do like they did when a black man looked at a white woman?
I think you know the answer. We'd be murdered. We'd be shot down in the street.
But look at the 24th Regiment. You remember the 24th? Do you plot?
Yeah.
The 24th Regiment was an army
Right
regiment
here in Houston. That
Houston,
defended
yeah.
itself.
of black people.
Defended this one of their colleagues that had been beat up by the
Killing
police.
The civilians were killing soldiers.
But look what happened to them.
But they went in there and they shot their asses up so bad it wasn't even funny. The 24th Regiment said, to hell with this shit, and they went down proudly. Only 13 of them were hung, but the rest of them were like in prison and hard labor.
Right, they recently got pardoned, all of them. It was 100
after they were dead.
Yeah,
posthumously. So the 13 that got hung were not the ones that shot. Even the leader, the young brother that they wanted to send to OCS, Officer Candidate School, he didn't shoot his gun at all that night. But he was the one that they deemed as the leader and the one that they had to ensure that it was hung.
Because I think he even went to open up the gun storage area and gave everybody their gun.
That was the sergeant. The sergeant said he used to be the good old black man. I don't want to say the good nigga that kept his head down. He wouldn't even look a white man in the eye. But he's the one who opened up that damn shed. But the other guy, the one who told, "Come get your gun, let's go." And they went down there. And what city was that? Did anybody? Do you know?
It was Houston.
They went into Houston.
It was
every white person
downtown
they
Houston.
killed him.
That's where the big Memorial Park was. The camp was the big military camp. It's Memorial Park now. They made it into one of the best parks in the state for white folks.
So they did it, but they died for doing it. And we gonna have to sacrifice some people, Chuck,
True
who
that.
willing to sacrifice their life for standing for a cause. You know, why do we wait until something happened to us before we want to get involved? I mean, it's happening all over America. If a person get killed in North Carolina, it hurts my heart here in Texas.
Right.
You know, why don't we got enough people across this country where we can send 10 people from each state to wherever the incident is and have 10,000 people there. You know, probably more than 10, but we can, if we had, like you've been trying to do, this fund, we could send people to represent black people. Ben Crump ain't the damn savior for black people, but he's the most richest goddamn lawyer that ever went on TV in support of black people, and he ain't doing it to support black people. He's doing it to get rich, and he is rich now. You never know what the disclosure is on the settlement because Ben Crump ain't gonna let you.
He is so big that he won't even look at a little small claim like we got here in San Antonio with this Asian guy putting his gun on these two teenagers and putting them on the ground and calling the police. They didn't know to be out there, and they lived at that upscale apartment complex. And so
he only deal with murders.
But Chuck, they don't send a 4-star general to fight those skirmishes.
But he should have some soldiers that he can appoint to come and take care of the little stuff too, because it's the little stuff that's hurting a lot of people the most. You know, and when I vote,
they keep doing isolated incidents, Chuck. They keep all us separate by doing isolated incidents.
But you know,
we can do thousands and thousands of incidents all year long, and we will never ever pull together and defend that incident.
But we didn't have an hour show, and I can't name 5 black. Are there 5 black traditions that we can agree on that we can name?
You saying are there?
Yeah. Name 5?
Name one. Tell me one that we agree on. A black tradition. That we already know Kwanzaa. We got that one.
Well,
that's number 2.
But that's Kwanzaa. But
that's the only one I know of. Kwanzaa.
Well,
Chuck, can you name 5?
We got your Juneteenth.
That's a black tradition.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's for Texas though.
Huh?
But it made it national. Okay, all right, Chuck. Juneteenth.
We'll give you Juneteenth.
All right.
How about Black History Month? Is that a tradition?
Hell to the no. That's a bullshit. That's what that is. That the Martin Luther King March here in San Antonio.
We do it every year.
But it ain't our tradition, Chuck. You got more Hispanics and more whites in the Martin Luther King March than you got less than 1/10 black people in that march. It ain't of the whole capacity. It ain't no black people marching these days. It's other people.
They come over to celebrate their freedom and civil liberty because they're up because of him too. I don't go to Cesar Chavez. I don't march in his march because his is all about the Hispanics. But Martin Luther King was about black people. It was about all people, all of the kids, white and brown, sitting down playing together.
Our march is about all kids, all people.
That's what you think. That's what you said. MLK?
Yeah, the MLK march is an inclusive march. It's marching for a lot of people.
But why is it? Why it started out as black, and now it's no longer black? That's what I get. Why did we allow it to be turned over? And eventually it's going to be going downtown.
We're in a city where we're only 6 to 8% of the population, and the majority of them don't live in San Antonio. They don't live on the east side. You know,
we know everybody in San Antonio that's black know that this is the largest MLK march in the city. And why don't this 6 or 7% of black people take the march back over? But we just sit back and let people take our shit and don't give a damn about it. We just
know,
keep
I
it
don't
moving.
know. I don't know how many people. I know it's over 100,000 marching.
That's the lie they keep telling, you know.
Uh huh. That's what they report. So,
Where is the 1965 voting rights? I mean, it's the 7th of Montgomery March. Is that a tradition?
The Selma Montgomery March.
Uh-huh.
Do they still do that march?
it's not a tradition.
Huh?
They do?
Yeah, it's every year.
Well, that ain't a tradition because
I
it
ain't
didn't
never heard
come
of
from
that
our
one.
ancestors.
Huh?
It didn't come from our ancestors.
Well,
Juneteenth didn't come from our ancestors.
mentioned
Kwanzaa
Juneteenth.
didn't come from our ancestors. We don't have a single tradition that we practice from our ancestors.
Right.
Not one.
Well, that's
Marching, well, we extended what they were doing. Yeah, our ancestors fought. They brought us so far, and then the marching brought us together to carry
The
it even
marching ain't
farther.
brought shit together. Don't tell that lie.
what do you mean they brought us
Down
so
to the
far?
damn park.
Our ancestors.
That march is
What
disseminated
ancestors?
within an hour after it even.
Hold on.
It's gone.
We're
Within
going
1
back
hour.
to. Let me think here.
Okay, we have to define ancestor.
Ancestors to me are the people we are descendants of.
Right.
Our melanated skin are descendants of the Canaanites, the Moabites, and the Canaanite Moabites are talked about extensively in the Bible, and it refers to who we are and how we are. But we, as American Africans, are descendants of those people. And it's proven that we are descendants of Cain, Canaanites, Moabites, Moab, the city of Moab, and Moabites. We're that group of people. But nobody wants to give us the recognition of who we are, but that's who we are. That is who we are. And nobody wants to demand us to be recognized as who we are.
Question: do they accept us?
Hell to the no. What kind of question is it? You know they don't. You know damn well your ass ain't accepted nowhere. Me either.
You're more, but you're more.
All they do is tolerate us. And the moment they get a break to get our asses up out of there, they do it.
I'm talking about the people that you say we are, that we are a part of. The Moors, the other groups you name.
Canaanites and Moabites. We're
Yeah,
descendants of
those groups. Do they recognize us as a part of them?
That's the ancestry, Chuck. We moved from that to where we are now. But if we don't recognize where we came from, we can never know where we're going. Because we don't know how we should go.
But we don't
know who we are
and where we came from.
Once you learn who you are and where you came from, then you know how to address the future.
Yeah.
But you don't know shit, you can't do shit.
I know.
I mean, Black Americans don't take tours to those countries. They go to Italy, they go to France, they go to Germany. I mean, we don't. Why
do we go to Cancun every damn year on that bullshit ass cruise? Why do we go over there? Chuck,
have fun. Different. I'm different. You know, nothing culturally. We don't have a place to go.
How many times you hear somebody talking about we going to Africa?
Wait, what do you mean we don't have a place to go? We came from somewhere.
I mean, that's affordable. I mean, we got a beach where in Delaware, somewhere like that.
You got, what is that, Martha's Vineyard?
Martha's Vineyard. We got a beach somewhere in Martha's Vineyard somewhere that are predominantly black. But other than that, that's the only thing I know where we can go.
Hometown. My little hometown. Little hometown.
You got the Sea Islands down in South Carolina.
The best place I know for black people to go, in my little feeble opinion, is Montgomery, Alabama. I love Montgomery, Alabama, and I would love to live there. I ain't never seen so many black people in my life till I went to Montgomery, Alabama.
You should have just went 30 miles down the road to Selma.
Yeah, I went through Selma on the way there.
Oh, okay.
And I went across the bridge. I stopped at that little monument right there beside the bridge. Mm-hmm. Took a lot of pictures there. got out of my vehicle and walked across that bridge, walked down the main street on the other side, and walked back. Got in my car.
Now,
Now,
see, as a photojournalist, that's from branching out to me. That's the kind of stuff that I would like to go and record and take photos of and do stories on and stuff like that. That's what I'm kind of branching out to be. Hopefully, I'll be able to do a little traveling here in the future and things settle down a little bit better.
Let me
that
ask
doesn't
Claude
get
one
back.
question.
That doesn't
Have you
take
been
us
to the
back.
hanging museum?
Huh?
Who?
You been to the hanging museum?
No, I ain't been to nothing. I ain't been to the slave ships up in Michigan, and that's what we could do a
You
lot
need to go.
with
You need
our
to go.
youth.
You need to go to the Cotillia in Mobile, the last ship that brought slaves to this country.
Is it in Mobile?
It's in Mobile. Well,
No, it's in
remnants
South
of it.
Carolina. They
The
burned
remnants. Where
it. When they
they
ended
sank the
slaves,
ship.
they
When
probably got that one, the last legal ship for
no,
them
it was the
that
last
bought slaves,
illegal
but
ship.
they bought several ships after the law had been passed. And what they would do once they arrived in America with the slaves, they unloaded them and then burned the ship
Yeah, they burned the ship. This is
because they didn't
supposed
want
to
nobody
last
to sue.
this black community, and it's right down in Mobile Bay. And them white folks are just biting the bits to get that land because white people love water. And they're
There's
just
so
biting
many black cities underwater that they put the
but
white boat
the
on.
captain of the Cotillia, well, his last name was Foster, and he took his slaves upriver, up the Alabama River to places like Selma, Marengo County, and those kind of because that's where all the cotton fields were. And I don't know whether that's connection to my name, but that would explain because every slave would have been owned by him. His name was Foster, so that would be the slave's name. So that's my
That's where
connection
you
with.
from, right?
Huh?
Ain't you from that area?
Yeah, from Selma. So
So
well,
you
Marengo
track
County.
your stuff all the way back to the ship.
Yeah, so that's probably where the Foster name came from.
And then Chuck got named as Slaughter.
Because every slave would have been named Foster.
Yeah,
Because he took 10 of his slaves that he owned upriver.
yeah. I kind of that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I tracked us all the way back to Richmond, Virginia, when two brothers owned slaves up there, and one brother took a load of half of the slaves and brought them down to the Mississippi Delta, and that's at least what I think.
Man, Virginia got to be the center of the universe for slavery in this country. I mean, the state
I
of
wanna go up to Indiana and Tennessee because there was a slaughter that was born in 1830 something, and he fought in the Civil War. And he
But
was a youth.
the irony of it is we have no birthright to that our last names. That doesn't entitle us to nothing.
They took out birthright.
You have no birthright to the slaughter. If slaughter had a fortune out there, you have no right to it. Even though
If you
your
have birthright, you can claim it. But if you don't, you can't do nothing. That's why they took it. That's why they took our cultures and our names and our ancestry from us. So we got no birthright. We can't claim nothing. The worst thing that happen to America now is that it's proven that there were blacks here before they arrived. We were here before the Indians. They don't want that admitted. They do not want that admitted, and they're going to do everything in their power to keep you from doing it. That's why you got everybody in the damn Senate 70 years old. That is the biggest, most powerful country club in the world.
Think about it, Chuck. Look at all the slaves that were named. Even the most famous slaves. What's the president that owned the slaves?
Jackson.
No, in Virginia, Washington.
George Washington.
That family I think. Do they have any birthright to this estate? Yeah, but we got these last names of Americans, but we have no birthright to nothing. You talk about wealth. You talk about black wealth. Give us our birthright.
And that ain't asking for no money. That's asking for our right.
I mean, there's land out there that we should own. There's properties out there that we should own, but we have no birthright because
Well,
we were.
this
And
has been a powerful discussion.
you are recorded in a courthouse somewhere as somebody's property.
Yeah.
And
Right,
property
Paul.
don't have no birthright.
This has been a very energizing conversation. So it's now time for us to do our closing statements for the BNN 247. So we want to go ahead and finish up yours, Claude. Take as long as you want.
Well, let me just say, I'm more confused right now than before we started this program. And in some ways, it's made me a little bit angry. Because when you really sit down and talk about it and evaluate it, and just see how in practical purposes, what we are in this country, we don't have a right to nothing. We built this country, yet we have no birthright to nothing, to the land, to the nothing. I can't go to anywhere and say, my last name Foster, I have a right to this. I have a birthright to this. This is part of that estate, if you will. We're property. And how do you assign traditions to something that was property? I mean, this is an interesting show, but it opens up some really deep wounds in terms of a greater understanding and just how screwed up we are in this country and continue to be in this country. And we wonder why we've had 5 different names and all the kinds of confusion in our communities, in our lives. It's complicated. But it's an interesting show. I hope we have another show to continue to address this and maybe bring on some experts that can talk about some of the issues that address some of the concerns that we've talked about on this show. But a great show. Glad to be a part of it.
All right, got it off mute. Yeah, well, it was a very interesting show. We started out talking about our values versus traditions, and we kind of just took us off into the history part of our culture and stuff like this. And yeah, I am a little confused too about who I am. I always thought I was a free man living in America. I know who I am and whose I am. I am a child of God, and He is my Father, my Creator. So that's who I am. Now, as opposed to culture or anything like, I consider myself a black man, and I follow what Tavis Smiley said when they introduced the word African American to black people. He said they're white African Americans, so we're still connected to the white folks. And the only way he said he's gonna continue to see himself as a black man living in America. And that's the way I have carried myself as a black man living in America. I like the idea of attaching the African roots to the people that's living in America that their ancestors came out of Africa. That's all it is. So I do think we need to. This is a deep conversation, and it can get deeper. It needs to be more time, and I would like to try to invite maybe a Mario Salas, Professor Fred Williams, or somebody like that to the show, and so we can hear. They are historians, and I believe Smitty must be a historian too, but he does a lot of research that 9 out of 10 people like me, we're not gonna do no research. We have accepted the history the hand that history has dealt us, and we're trying to do the best we can with it. And for as I'm concerned, I'm a forward-thinking person. I'm thinking it takes money to have power. And we don't have money as a culture. We have individuals with money, but not money as a culture. And when we do that and start providing for our young people, start providing the jobs that they need, I can't go find a black mechanic here in San Antonio that can work on my car and be give me an honest job. And uh, um, I can't find. I want a black restaurant to go eat at. It's hard to find one other than the two we got on WW White Road, and maybe a couple out here on Walsen. We got about 4 or 5 that we can go to in a big old city like this. So I think I'm going to follow Malcolm X's statement and start to ask our people to put their nickel pennies and dimes together so we can create an industry to support our future generations so they will have their independence. It's not too late, but we got to take and expedite our actions now. We definitely got to get out and go vote in 2024. It might be the last time we'll have an opportunity to do that if the wrong person gets in office. So go get ready, join the Black Independent Voters Association, and let's get out there and get the black vote out there and let it mean something to the culture.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to do a closing statement, and it won't. I'll be brief. I'm not going to take a long time. But first, I want to say that we all know that we love chicken, and that might be a weird thing for me to start out with, but I'm going to talk about it because I want to talk about black business. We love chicken as black people. However, you can find black people at Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeye's Chicken, Church's Chicken, every one of these damn chicken places in the city at multiple locations. But we only got one black chicken place, and that is Chapman Chicken. And I'm doing a shout out for Chapman Chicken because black people buying chicken should be buying it from Chapman. I mean, we don't necessarily focus on our own support. We should be making him a trillionaire with that chicken place over there because he's been persistent and he's been there for the last 25, 30 years, probably a lot longer than that, because I've seen him there from day one. When I got to this city, I've known Chapman's Chicken. So all I'm saying is the small business aspect of black people in San Antonio suffers because we are not loyal as Chinese are, or as Koreans are, as Mexicans are to ourselves. We spend our money anywhere because, oh, I want Chinese. But you go in there, like me and Chuck talk about all the time, there's no black face in there, but we spending our money. And we're the only motherfuckers up in there. All I'm saying is, people, we have to realize where our dollars go. And our dollars are just as valuable as anybody else's dollars. And if we continue to not spend our dollars at black people business, and the worst thing we can do is go to that business and say, give me a deal. If they got $5 on a particular item, pay the goddamn $5. You know, you don't go to Walmart telling them to negotiate a damn price. You just pay it. Plus the taxes. You don't whine about that shit, but let a black business charge you the same $5, you're going to talk about that shit for 2 days, maybe longer. So all I'm saying is support the black business people and stop damn worrying about how much you spend there. Let them make that money. Help them become who they need to be. And maybe we'll start to see more and more black businesses succeed instead of fail. More black businesses fail than any other type of business in America. Nobody wants to see a business fail. And they're going to keep failing unless we do something about it. Today's conversation was about black values and black traditions. And we kind of got into some really deep stuff about who we are. And like I say, like y'all say, it kind of pisses you off to know that we're in this condition as black people in America. Claude brought up a point about birthright. Um, I brought up a point about granted privileges. Chuck brought up a point about consolidating our funds to betterment our society. I mean, we all got great ideas and great concepts about what needs to happen in America. But if we don't get it together as 50, 60, 70-year-old men and women, then we're going to catch more hell down the road. Like I said, if we go to martial law, which every single major dynasty in the world has failed at one time or another. I mean, you see them go up and then you see them come down. But America has not seen its failure yet. And if they keep on trying to hide shit from us, as they have done, they're going to catch more hell when they start to go down, because there's so many things they do not want us to know. And if you look at where we are, if you look at the map behind my head, you'll see the United States being part of Africa. We are in the United States of America, Northwest Africa. Venezuela, Southwest Africa, because Pangea is where the world used to be all together. And before it separated, we were called Pangea. And when it separated, we renamed the United States, Mexico, Venezuela, Brazil, all those different countries. But it's about us being here all along. And if they allow us to make that a fact here in America, then they lose. Why do you think we got the biggest social club of white folks in Washington, D.C.? Ain't no black people in that Senate that got to say so. They're the only ones that run this country. Them old ass white folks up there living off of slave money. They are descendants of slave owners. We are descendants of slaves. They got all the money up there. They made billions of dollars off cotton, off soybean, and off sugarcane. And that money didn't just disappear. That money got passed from generation to generation to generation to generation to the Senate right now. That's where it's at. And across America. The Rockefellers didn't damn earn their money from the bullshit they talking about. The damn Trumps didn't earn their money from the bullshit they talking about. They earned their money from some part of slavery. With that, this is the Black News Network, BNN 247. I want to say thank you to my co-hosts, Mr. Claude Foster and Mr. Chuck Slaughter. We will be back next week again talking about Black values, Black traditions. And if you can think of a tradition, don't hesitate to call me and let me know, because I don't know a single damn tradition we have that came from our ancestry. Traditions got to come from your ancestry, you know. So find out what our traditions are, and let's get them on paper and get them to me or one of the other co-hosts, and let's talk about them next week. And yes, Chuck, if you can, invite Mario Salas. What you eating right now? Chicken, Chuck? I can see you chewing on something. You know, I hope that chicken came from Chapman's. Anyways, this is the Black News Network, BNN247.org. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn at BNN247. Our network is about us, and it's by us. Who can tell our story better than us? We got to stop allowing them to tell our story, because they're going to cut out what they want to and say what they want to and try and make us believe what they want to. And ain't a damn thing they can say that I can trust. I'll listen to it, but I'll verify it if they say it. Not CNN, not NBC or CBS can tell the truth about our culture. We got our truth here at the Black News Network. The Black News Network does not own the rights to the music that you may hear, but we do own the rights to what we say. Join us next Sunday at 3:30 p.m. right here on BNN 247. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.
I've met many people over the years, and in my opinion, I have found that people are the same everywhere. They have the same fears, shed similar tears, die in so many years. The oppressed seem to have suffered the most in every continent, coast to coast. Now our lives are in the hands of the pusher man. We break it all down in hopes that you might understand how to protect yourself.